read. I've read Biggles, I've read Just William, I've read Ian Blight, Mallory Carroll, my sister. And really this changed my perspective on life and on reading. And from then on I became an avid and vociferous reader. And why was that? Well, and this is what I want to do tonight. I want to persuade you that reading is a legacy. Reading has to be handed down, has to be passed on. You want to give a book like my grandfather gave me a book, like I gave this on to my daughter. I borrowed it from her for tonight. She'll get it back. But the whole point is that reading is a fascination. And there's 3 reasons I give for that. First is, and it's from my perspective, okay? I am not by nature an extrovert. I don't actually, go out and listen to people talk. I'm not always persuaded, strangely enough, as I stand up here by the verbal word, by the talk. I'm more persuaded by reading. I read vociferously. And the reason why is it allows me, firstly, to learn at my pace. It allows me to be persuaded by the reader that what they're saying is true or false, but it allows me to make a deliberative choice as how that goes. And this allows me to get into their mind and see how it comes about. I read a book about 5 years ago about the Crusades, and it changed my whole perspective. This is what I mean about the power of reading. It changed my whole perspective on the church, the Christianity, the Muslims and Islam, all of that. Read that, and it was absolutely amazing. So the power of reading is something that you have to pass on, because that allows people to reflect and to change their mind at their own pace. The second reason I give is creativity. There's an inner creativity. When you start to read a book, the book comes alive. While it's standing here, it is a dormant piece of equipment. When you open it, it becomes the world that you want it to become. Maybe the world that the writer wanted you to see, but not necessarily that. It is your world. You look at it, you read it in your perspective, you create your own vision and view of the world. When I read this book, and I keep going back to this, I was looking for water when the guy was at sea, and the old man was at sea for 83 days. I was parched with him. I was sweating with him. That is the power of creativity of the book, of your mind, and that's what the book gives you. It's not necessarily the writer who gives you that, because some good writers don't come to you. Emily Dickinson only published 7 poems when she was alive. 1,100 poems were published after she died. So the power of her word could have been lost on the world had somebody not read it. J.K. Rowling was rejected 17 times before she was accepted. So one person read her book, and that power changed people's perception of reading. So the creativity is there, but it comes from the reading as much as the writing. The third reason I want people to offer a legacy book to their families, to their friends, to their loved ones is connectivity. You connect with a book. You connect with a place in a book. I read Dubliners, I read Russell Carroll Kelly, and I read Roddy Doyle, The Commitments, all about Dublin. Each one about a different part of Dublin, but you connect with each of them yourself, because that's a place, it's a time, it's a person, it's a people. And when you do that, that allows you to connect with yourself. Secondly, when you read that book, and I go back to J.K. Rowling, when you read a book out loud, as I did to my kids when they were growing up, you sit and you read it out loud and you talk to them about, in the voices of the characters. And strangely enough, the characters that we designed and imagined and worked through were actually the voices that we saw on the screen beforehand. Robbie Coltrane was our ideal Hagrid, but that was after we'd read the book, sitting together, reading it out loud inventing our Hogwarts, inventing. And this connectivity allowed me to connect with my children, allowed me to connect with the creative world, and allowed me to connect back to reading. This book started it all. I want you to find the book that started it all for you and pass it on to somebody who you want a legacy to go forward with. This has been from my mother to my grandfather in 1959. It came back to me in 1976. It went to my daughter in 2012. It will go on. Do the same. Thank you.